So every civilization, every culture basically has one kind of aspect of their culture that they are not even proud of, and they don't even want to talk about it. Like in the West, if you talk about Atlantic slave trade, oh no, they don't want you to talk about it. They want you to just forget about it. It has passed, but it's a people's history. It's also their own history. They did it, so they should be proud of basically telling people about it and basically taking accountability and responsibility when that comes, instead of telling people not to talk about it. And remember that when you don't talk about all those cultures, they forget about it, and tomorrow we leave it to it being corrupted. And imagine how many centuries from now, and all of a sudden you see our descendants basically being blamed for slavery, and then I think that we were the ones that allowed ourselves to be taken as slaves and all. So these are why many people are strictly objecting to any kind of a misinformation that is going to come from this transatlantic slave. So they basically attribute those blames to people that deserve it. So when we talk about the Osu Caste system, it's kind of complex, because currently many people don't really understand what Osu truly means, the reasons why Osu even existed in the first place. Now, caste systems has always existed all over the world, ranging from the serfs to the lords, the slaves, the master, and Igbo society. What we have here is basically Osu, and Osu are members of our society who, for one reason or the other, were segregated and their social interactions were limited. I said, now remember, for one reason or the other, that's why Osu happens, or that's why a certain group of people are referred to as Ndi Osu. Because people were consecrated to deities for one reason or the other. Now the first reasons here are Ndi Agoronalose. Ndi Agoronalose. Now Christians will think that Osu system does not exist, but in our culture, in our language, priests, nuns, and their pastors, Roman Catholic priests, and all those things, all of them are Osu, because they dedicated themselves to the Christian God, to the Christian deity. Now, in our culture, Ndi Agoronalose, people like Ndi Akajofalose, these kinds of people are also Osu. Because before you basically go into a deity, they're dedicating you, we are giving you to that deity to serve, to also serve us in their zani, to also do all those things. We refer to them as Osu. But this, the problem here is that we think that by looking at them and saying Ndabo, so that that we were avoiding them like plagues, and no, there is a misconstruction here. Because as an Igbo person, if you want to go and relate to the deity, to offer sacrifice or to offer anything, you're going to talk to the Akajofo, which is Onye Aikoronalose. And there are still people that don't really serve as the Akajofo, but there also have Wande Agoronalose, people that were dedicated, or some of them even choose to be dedicated. Now, you need to understand that some of the things that we do in our culture, it is from your destiny or from your EU. So for some people, because life could basically put them or push them to a certain direction, they will now decide, maybe they push them to a certain direction, and they will now, through Alpha will tell them, you're supposed to serve as this, you're supposed to serve as that, and they're going to take up that mantle and serve in that position. This is the reasons for many Akajo. For some of them, it's coming from their lineage, but also kwena Akarakafa, wena Abiowa. And the second reason why people become Osu, we look at it as Ndi Obodo Choporo, Fagba Banamo. People that the community ostracized and they ran into a deity, and the deity could now basically serve as their protector. They committed one crime or the other, and the community will say, we don't want you here. But maybe to them, they don't really want to move into the wilderness and start wandering and loitering. They don't really know what is out there. They will run into a deity and tell this deity, I belong to you. And once they do that, the community allows them. So for some of these people, their crimes could even be because of rape. Their crimes could even be because of murder. And so many other crimes that I don't even know. But if the crimes that society views as this thing is arrow on one as it is you're never, not even, there is no appeasement rituals that will fix it. The society, the community will say, we don't want you here. Leave our community, and they would leave and they would go into a deity, then haboro Osu. They become an Osu. And the third reason here is Ndi Banara na Mmụọ. Ndị gbanara na mmụọ, those that escaped, ndị gbanarala ha waba na mmụọ, those that escaped war, those that did not want to be sold or captured as slaves, they escaped and they ran into a deity for protection. So a deity is going to basically protect them from people that want to kill them or people that want to harm them in one way or the other. So say people that escaped as slaves, they will go to the deity and asking the deity to protect them. And the fourth reasons here are people ndị obodo na-atụ n'ọnụ, people that are seeking for justice, people that they just don't even understand it again. They just want to go into a deity. So the deity is going to protect them. So they would go into a deity, and the deity is going to basically shield them and protect them against any kind of thing that wants to basically harm them. So note that no matter an individual's reasons for running into a deity, our ancestors basically saw them as Omwal, or say children of a deity or children or people that belongs to a deity. So this basically led them to being feared, and social restrictions and limitations that they faced and are still facing. Now you need to understand here that the mindset of our ancestors, when they were basically fearing these people and giving them some social restrictions and limitations, is because they are actually scared of the deity and not the individual. They are scared that they can do the slightest thing that they can do to you, it is going to basically provoke the deity. It is going to make the deity to basically seek for retribution, because that's the main reasons why you even dedicated yourself at the first place to a deity. So in their mindset at that point is basically, I don't want your problem. So that's why the social restrictions exist. Now remember that murder is insane. It's a huge crime in Igbo culture. So at that point, the social limitations here is that you are not going to marry from families that considers themselves as Ndi Diala. And the reasons why this thing is even existing itself is because no family wants to basically marry into a family with that kind of an existential debt. Because if you kill somebody, you're going to retribute for that debt one way or the other. So no family wants to be, connected to, or as you went and you married into a family that has a murderer. So in their mindset as at that point, they just don't want that problem. So how do they slam it, restrictions upon restrictions upon restrictions. So what I tell people is that if your family and they tell that you people are Osu, just ask them why. What made us an Osu? Why are we Osu? How can we fix it? How can we ritually or spiritually solve or restitute so that that stigma or that attachment will no longer be there? Now, again, here is that one reason why Ndibo we fear, or this whole crusade about Osu even happened in the first place is because of the demonizations of Alose. When Christianity came, we began to demonize deities. We began to demonize Alose. And when we began to demonize Alose, we began to demonize every single thing that is attached to these deities. We began to demonize every single thing. And Osu became at the pyramid, at the top of what we were demonizing. To me, then I would even say that even before Alose, it was Osu. We were first of all demonizing Osu. Osu had it worse because they're individuals that are feeling, they can express their feelings. But deities, they can only communicate their grievances through people that interact with them. And then they also know that at the end of the day, Agraja must come back. At the end of the day, people that are going to come back and interact with them are going to come back and interact with them. So the Osu people, they really had it. It was terrible for them. And this is one of the problems the church came with that they don't also want to address. And they would also come with the illusion that the church came to eliminate the stigma attached to the Osu institution. But are you trying to eliminate the stigma that you came with, that you brought at the first place? You brought in that stigma. It's just like a doctor or a scientist designing some kind of a virus, and at the same time this scientist is also giving you the vaccine against that virus. Now, I tell people here that the Osu Caste system, to me, should no longer exist. We're fighting racism. We're fighting tribalism. We are going to also fight the Osu Caste system. In whatever dimension, whether it is people that run into a deity, whether it is people that their ancestors committed murder or be ostracized, no matter what the person's ancestors did, this Osu Caste system does no longer have any place in the modern world. It doesn't. So it should no longer exist. Therefore, we should now adopt the notion of ometeluburu. If you do anything, if you committed anything, it should not be passed down to your generation. People be outside, your predecessors should not basically inherit. They shouldn't inherit any atrocity that you committed. It should basically die with you. Now, I have not really seen new people or fresh people basically running to a deity for protection because of how the society is now. Therefore, Osu should no longer exist in our society. And peradventure, you were told that your family has this history, you can go down and talk with the Ezani, talk with the spiritualists, ask them how you can basically ritually cleanse yourself. Ritually cleanse yourself to basically come out of that stigma. And if you basically enjoy this conversation, don't also forget to subscribe and tune in to next week for our next conversations. Yeah, guys.